Okay, we're going to shift gears a little bit. Steps to financial freedom. I want to kind of speed up a little bit and zip through this a little bit quicker. There is one who scatters, yet increases more. And there is one who withholds more than is right, but it leads to poverty. Another proverb. 7 steps to financial freedom. Very little to do with money up here. Transfer ownership, freedom from debt, establish patterns of godly giving, accept God's provisions, avoid indulgence, seek godly counsel, and develop a plan. All right, let's step these really quickly. What do I mean by transfer ownership? I already talked about that. Transfer ownership of every possession to God. So it's not really transferring ownership. It's coming to the realization that you don't own it. Transferring ownership really makes it sound like I had it first, now I'm giving it back to God. So that's really kind of a misnomer. So I'm not ever transferring ownership. It's really me just coming to the realization that I never owned it in the first place.
That's right.
This is me coming into submission and humility that I never owned it. It was always God's. Now, once I put myself in that position, now it's much easier for me to be a good steward. Because it's not mine anyway. I didn't bring it into this earth. I didn't create it, and I'm not going to take it out. So, transfer ownership. If you believe you're the owner of a single possession, then the events affecting that possession are going to affect your attitude. Yeah. That phone. And I know how Abraham loves phones. Since he thinks he owns this phone, anything that happens to this phone is going to affect going to affect his attitude. Okay, and I prove it. This is my phone. He doesn't have a feeling that he owns this phone. What happens to this phone is not really going to affect his attitude. Correct? Mm-hmm. If I break the screen of this phone, he'll probably go, oh man, that sucks, man. Take it to Rez, he'll fix it for $70. Break the screen on this phone, now we got a problem.
Yes.
Because the sense of ownership. Mm-hmm. So once you separate yourself from ownership, it brings your attitude back in check.
It's good.
Yeah, I lost all my money. No, you lost all God's money.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. Changes the way we think. You just lost $10,000 of God's money in the stock market. Yeah, it wasn't your money. Because it was yours. When you leave here, we would go with you.
That's right. They would come in, they could be on leave.
That's a hard concept to understand. I know people who, and again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be frivolous or you shouldn't.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
You shouldn't care, but there are people that just get out of sorts.
Actually, you're actually less frivolous because this actually, once you do this,
right,
now you start understanding stewardship.
Right, but now I'm coming into that better stewardship now.
Yeah.
By faith and obedience.
Obedience. Not so much by faith, by obedience.
But here's the thing. When my trading group, my friends, they always would say to me, "How is it that you lost X amount of money in the market? Why are you not going out?" I would be going out my mind. They would have to put me in traction, or they would have to come and get me. Why are you so cool? I said, "It's money." It's
not that it was never yours.
It's
never yours anyway.
Now, but I always had the mindset, oh, I can get it again.
Because money is a renewable resource.
Is right, like how you were saying earlier, but it's the way that they were carrying on.
Because we have a sensational lust for ownership of money, my money, which takes us to away from stewardship.
Right.
Because and that term stewardship, maybe to explain that, means it's like a husbandman, and you don't hear that term a lot here, but or a foreman,
But
supervisor.
just about everything you use is attached to somebody else's control. You made a point about the phone, but the phone is useless if I don't pay the bill.
Pay the bill.
And if I don't pay the bill, they'll cut the phone off.
And then you have a nice little box there that you pay the way. Freedom from debt. This is one I know that's like everybody, oh no, we gotta talk about debt. Why we gotta talk about that? Because no matter how much money you make in investing, that right there will, it's like a canker, it's like a sore. It will eat it alive. Debt. Now, having bills doesn't necessarily mean that you're in debt.
Right.
You understand what debt is? And really here, it's what we're talking about, is unsecured liability. You know, if you own a house, and you're making a house, and well, if the bank owns a house and you're paying them back for it, that's more than probably the right way of stating that. That's a secured debt. And that's not bad debt.
No.
Unsecured debt, when you have debt that's hanging out there, that it has nothing that's backing it, like a credit card, like credit cards. Yeah, that's unsecured debt. And that is really, what we're talking about here. In other words, if you had to cash out everything, if you sold everything, and there's a negative balance in your account, you are in debt. Because unfortunately, because of the way the system works today, many people don't think they're in debt. They don't realize that they're broke. Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm making my payments. Are you caring how much of a balance? Oh, that's not important. I'm making my $25 a month minimum payment. You're broke.
Yeah, you broke. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, you're broke. it's that simple. So, and that's coming to that realization of where you are. Because I've talked to many people, who this is the big elephant in the room that they don't want to talk about. And really coming to a plan of saying, okay, let's find out how broke are we. I like this in 2 Kings. And this is just an excerpt from when Elijah went to the woman. And he said what? She went and told the man of God. And he said, go sell the oil and pay your debt. Then you and your son can live on what's left. Before you can get right with God, you go pay your debts. Go pay what you owe. After you do that, now you can live on what's left. So,
So that means the oil was really worth something.
oh yeah, go sell it. But the first thing you do is pay your debts. Yeah, but the oil, there was enough there to cover.
The debts.
Now, why didn't he tell her to go pay your tithes first?
I'm not gonna go down that road right now.
All right.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going.
I know exactly where you're going.
Okay.
I'm not going there. All right. So this is nothing new. I'm telling you this. If you came here looking for some new great concept, it's like I always say about the Word of God. You know, whenever I hear somebody say, "Well, I need a fresh new word from the Lord," well, you know what? There is no fresh new word. No. You know.
It's the word.
It's the.
It's been there.
It's been there.
It's not
That's it.
changing.
Yeah. Be careful. You know. So if you came here looking for some fresh new debt relief.
Fresh new Raymond word.
Yeah, it ain't here. All right, this is. You can shut the video off now. No, this is not the one.
I thought you were going to give us a stock tip.
No, it's none of that. You know, many times in the Bible, especially Old Testament, God would tell them to write it down.
That's right.
Didn't He?
Make it plain.
Yeah, make it plain. Write it down. Make it plain. I'm telling you, that right there is so critical. Because many times, what we think of in our heads and what's reality are two separate things. And when you start writing it down, that's when you go, oh my God, I didn't realize it was that bad. Because I've been fooling myself. But have a plan. Write it down. Have it written so you can go read it. And that's how God said, well, I want my laws written on the tablets of your heart. You know, it's like in the Old Testament, they were always written. Start separating three things: needs, wants, and desires. And not that those three, any of them are bad, but we have to know how to break them out. What are my needs? What are my wants? And what are my desires? Limited essentials. Start reducing non-essential expenses. For me, it was cable TV. Gone. Haven't had it for 5, 6, I don't know, years. Don't miss it. Somebody would almost have to pay me to get cable back now, you know. What, $100 and something a month? It just, was, and now, this is me. I'm not trying to make policy for anybody else's budget. But for me, it was a non-essential. For you, that may be an essential. And something else that I have may be a non-essential.
Right.
So that's why it's important to write down your own plan. See,
Cables across the board, not
what, you know, I don't know. That's why I say I'm not trying to dictate in any. I'm just saying for me, when I wrote my plan, my budget down, I don't need that.
Right.
Yeah, okay, that was just one off the top.
There's so many other avenues that you can.
Yeah, exactly, especially now. Think before buying. Reduce credit buying. You can't get rid of it. Try as much as possible to kind of operate on a cash basis. And even if you use a credit card, still operate cash. Meaning that when I buy this, now I'm going to go right back
Pay it off.
and with discipline and pay that card off.
Right.
You know, that's how you build your credit too.
You build your credit? Yeah, we're going to talk about credit a little bit also. Avoid leverage as much as possible. Now, you can't completely avoid leverage. And what I mean by that is, and well, you guys know, you option trader, so everything you do with options is leverage.
Right.
You're using a small amount of money to leverage a large block of options. Same with if you own real estate, you try to buy a house, it's leverage. You took a small down payment and your beautiful smile and your handshake with a mortgage company, and you leveraged that mortgage company to give you a loan for $200,000 when you didn't have it. So your credit and whatever down payment is the leverage that you use to get into the house. So many things you're going to use leverage for, but you have to be smart. Now, if you're going to go buy a new TV using leverage, it's probably not a good idea. Probably not a good idea. Why? Because of the asset value. It's going to depreciate. Typically, you want to use leverage for things that don't depreciate. Because what's going to happen with a TV in 3 years? It's not going to be, the value is not going to be worth what you use to leverage to buy it with. Practice saving, there's a proverb to go with that. Godly giving. Notice I didn't use the word tithing, even though I'm quoting Malachi, which is the tithing bedrock. Because many times when we use the word tithing, it lends itself to conformance instead of a submissive spirit. I'm not saying tithing is a bad thing, don't get me wrong. But many times today, tithing has actually become taxation. Yeah. And taxation, there's nothing,
And without representation.
and many times without representation. Yes. Yes. You give it the money, and where does it go? Well, you need to step outside the door. Yeah. So, but godly giving, and when you get to the New Testament, I challenge everybody, use your phone, whatever, and do a search through the New Testament on the word tithing. You only see it pop up, I think, twice in the New Testament. Because the concept of tithing, here again, it was just like Jesus said, I came to fulfill the law. So fulfilling tithing means that, just like he said, give as you have been blessed.
Freely give.
Freely give.
Freely receive.
That's God. Freely give. Tithing was the tutor to get us to here, so that our heart should be the place now I can freely give. But we use tithing to train us how to get to that point. So many times, tithing is very important because it's teach you the concept of godly giving. Right. But the point is to get you to where you are giving freely.
It wasn't meant to be a doctrine.
That's a good. We made it taxation. So when we think about godly giving, here again, that's from the heart. Giving from the heart. This is one sometimes we struggle with, accepting God's provisions. My dad used to say this a lot growing up. I used to hear him say it. He says the problem we have is that nobody wants to be poor. Now, what he meant by that was many people, and he and my mom were great at it, of understanding this is where we are in the eco-social realm. And they were content there. And they did well. They didn't overspend. They knew that this is how much money we make a year. We can't drive Cadillacs. We can't look like our neighbors and that's what he meant by that, is that everybody wants to live at a level that's a little bit higher than what they actually make. And good with it. Avoid indulgence. Kind of follows that same thing. Most millionaires live like regular people. most regular people want to live like millionaires.
Well, that's good.
You're right about
Yeah,
that.
that's, you know,
Because
most,
That is
Yeah,
true.
go
I
ahead.
was gonna say because Warren Buffett still lives in the same house or same car and all that.
yeah,
He's like the top 5 people in the,
Yeah.
in the world
in the world.
for wealth.
For wealth. Yeah. Because you realize that car is just a utility.
Yeah,
It's a depreciative utility.
yeah,
Yeah. But most of us, regular people,
yeah.
you know, I
Well,
want
I
to
can keep- I
believe.
can
That's
keep my
right.
Hyundai.
Get that Bentley.
Yeah. Yeah. Practicing self-control and spending. I mean, it's like I say, these are just common things. And another proverb. I love proverbs. There's so much wisdom there. Like a city whose walls are broken down is a man who lacks self-control. You think about a city that's, you know, they're fortified with the walls. Anything can run up in there. That the walls are torn down.
So that's why Trump wants to build a wall.
You can build walls. Yeah. Yeah. Seeking godly counsel. Now, this doesn't mean talking to your friend. Don't confuse godly counsel with talking to my buddies. Sometimes godly counsel comes from somebody you might not even like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. You know, a lot of my military experience, I worked around people who looked and operated completely differently than I did. But they were able to give me good counsel because they saw things in a light that I never saw it. If I just talk to my buddies, I'm going to get the same information that I already have.
Right.
They're going to just reinforce what the bad practices that I'm already doing.
You shouldn't always be you shouldn't always be the smartest person in the room.
In the circle, yeah. So actually, God he puts it to us to go seek counsel and not rely on ourselves. And sometimes we have got this thing, especially sometimes in the church, that we can't step outside and talk to anyone outside of the church.
I just,
You know.
I want to say this. I met a young man some time ago who he became an associate, and he was in the cell phone industry, as I have been for so many years prior to becoming a government, whatever. Anyway, here's the thing that I want you to elaborate on this. For years, I keep meeting people who claim that they want, it sounds good, they want to introduce me to a millionaire, and they say, well, if you want to become a millionaire, well, then let's meet a millionaire. And every time they proceed to do so, it's always some sort of multi-level marketing scheme attached to that person that I'm meeting. In other words, it's very hard for me to actually meet someone who is wealthy, monetary or wise, and actually just learn from them without joining some Amway thing. I just want to meet a millionaire.
And here's my rebuttal. Here's my rebuttal.
Yeah.
You probably have met several, but they're ordinary people.
Right.
Okay.
You just didn't know they were millionaires.
That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, my neighbor 2 houses down. Yeah, did well with me, and he lives in a house that's looks about like mine, a 3-bedroom rancher. And when he drives a little Ford Escort. And if you saw the guy in Walmart, you would think he could barely probably rub 2 nickels together. No, and if you met him and talked to him, you would never know he was a millionaire. Now, you're right. You go to some of these places, they want you to know that because that's how they remain a millionaire. That
Right.
I want to flaunt this.
That's right. Get your money and
Yes, because I want you
have people
to
join too.
start a leg of
Yeah.
feed off you.
So that's why as I elaborate and rebut that is that just like what Hebrew says that entertaining guests, sometimes you're entertaining angels unaware.
Unaware, that's right.
Sometimes you're entertaining millionaires unaware. Because just like those angels unaware, they're not coming with wings and how we expect to see an angel. That's what that means. So many times those people you're meeting day to day, there's a couple people I know in this area who own machine shops, millionaires. Little building, not like they got some great building, small buildings with where they're making parts for the shipyard down here.
I have met some at Costco just being at that.
Yeah.
You know, every now and then, just by listening to them, you'll pick up, wait a minute, they know something.
And many times, read the book Millionaire Next Door if you haven't.
Okay.
The Millionaire Next Door. It's a great read.
And the thing about it is, some of them tend to be very, very extremely frugal.
Very frugal.
I mean,
Yes.
like, what's wrong with you? Almost.
Because they understand generational wealth. And they're not spending money. It's actually, I think it's in that book where the man he did a study on millionaires. He invited them to the hotel. And when he showed up, first thing he noticed when he pulled in the parking lot, he expected to see BMWs and Mercedes, and what he saw were secondhand Fords, Chevrolets. They went in, same thing. Attire, he's thinking, man, I got a ballroom full of millionaires. Here's guys with golf shirt and khakis. Most of them married to their first wife. Most of them, actually,
What are you wearing, Jake?
many of them, the wives were still at-home moms, or they clipped coupons. I mean, it was amazing. Yeah.
That's interesting that you said that they were married to.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
The family. Going back to that family, they understood.
They understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if we divorced now, I gotta split. We gotta start keeping two houses, two lives going.
And the couples end up fighting over not millions of dollars, but a couple hundred in the bank.
Yes.
There's so many thousand years, not million years, but thousand years.
Thousand. All right, developing a plan. Real quick, talk about budgets. This is very basic. I'm not going to spend time there, but you basically understand the difference between fixed expenses and your variable expenses. When you do a budget. Because many times this is what kills us here. Because many of those you got to pay. Like your mortgage, taxes, somebody will come after you if you don't pay it.
Fixed expenses you have to-
Food, clothing, those are the budget killers.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Those types of things. And I love it in Luke. It says, well, which of you intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and count the cost, whether he has sufficient to finish it. Meaning that, you got to write this stuff down. Just some rules.
Can you go back one?
Yeah. So some, of understanding what is the cost, income versus expenses. And I know this sounds very basic, but so many of us, we rush to try to make a lot of money, not understanding the outgo is what's killing us, not the godly concepts of how we manage it. Here again, this is all rule of thumb. There's nothing concrete here. But many times, especially that we're talking to investors, don't eat your seed corn, if you understand what that means. I guess being a farmer, I gotta explain. You're gonna plant, 50 acres of corn, so you go buy, 20 bushels of corn. Well, if you're not the foolish farmer, he said, I already got corn, so I'm just gonna eat my seed corn instead of planting it and making a lot more corn. So many times with investing, if you're not careful, we'll start investing this. That is not investment money. Emergency cash is not money you should be investing.
That's right.
So before we even start going into these other vehicles, that needs to be the first thing that you shore up. This is your seed corn. And we wonder why we're never able to be fruitful and multiply, because we're eating the seed that we should be planting.
Right.
Meaning that before I even start thinking about investing, I need to have some emergency cash, an emergency cash fund already in place.
That's right.
And I can't tell you what that number is. Rule of thumb here again, you talk to many financial planners, they tell you 1 to 3 months of your salary. Here again, that's an individual number but yeah, that you need to work first. So that way, if the brakes go out on your car, like mine did on my truck this week, I'm not down here scavenging my investments to fix the brake on my car.
That's right. That's G.E.T. teaching.
And here's the problem when you do this. Okay, if I have to sell some of these, and you guys probably know this better than I do, I have just now killed myself long term.
That's right.
That's I have to pull $500 out of an investment to pay for brakes. What could that $500 have made me in 5 years?
That's right.
Probably hundreds or thousands. So I need to have money here that I can get my brakes fixed with, so that I am not dipping into my investments to take care of emergencies. Now, with that said, yeah, you know, catastrophes come through, yeah, you've got to take care of those. You know, the next hurricane blows through and you lose everything, then yeah, you may have to dip into these things. But I'm talking here, this is really normal day-to-day life expenditures. That shore that up first before you start going down the list.
His will, His way.